So we would call it UGC. So it can actually be really expensive to ask an influencer or a content creator to post on their pages because essentially that's an advertising tool. However, you can actually ask them to create what's called UGC. So ask them just to record like a library or a bank of content for you that you then take and you post onto your page. It's actually a much cheaper way of using content creators and influencers to actually get content for your pages.
Welcome to the Social Media Takeaway. I'm your host, Louise McDonnell, and this is the show where we talk all things social media, specifically how you can use social media to grow your business. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe. And if you know of anyone who'd enjoy this episode or any other episodes, why don't you share the show with them and tell them all about it? Today, I'm delighted to welcome an old friend of mine, Charlene Flanagan, here to the show. So Charlene is the co-founder and visionary behind Ireland's fastest growing skincare brand, Ella & Joe. With over a decade of experience as a beauty expert, Charlene is no stranger to your screens, appearing on Irish TV, media and numerous social media channels. She has established a stellar reputation in the beauty industry. You're very welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I feel like this is such a gorgeous full circle moment for us, Louise.
I know. I'm going to start crying soon.
I know. I love though how still after all this time, like, we still have such a lovely relationship. It's absolutely gorgeous. So for anybody maybe listening and wondering what are these two on about, back in the heyday when I was just fresh out of college, and myself and Louise, I was an employee of Louise's company at the time called To Market. That was my first dipping my toe into digital marketing. A lot of people actually now, when I tell them what my background is, they were like, "You were in digital marketing?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Wow."
It was actually, it was before you finished college, wasn't it? You came to me for your work placement.
Right. Yeah. So it was in, third year actually.
Yeah,
and then
third year in college.
You were the reason why I continued with marketing. I was going to go down HR, like why? And you were the reason, like digital marketing, like wasn't what it is now. Like SEO. Remember, I was going into my lecturer correcting him, saying, "No, you're wrong. Like that's not what SEO is." People hadn't heard of SEO. Facebook was just relatively new coming on the scene. And so we started that journey, really, really early on. And that was my first dip in the toe with digital marketing. But it was thanks to you that I learned so much about marketing. And I still, to this day, always refer back to the same, I suppose, the same quotes and the same ethos that you had back in the day. I still always remember some of the little things, how I was taught, and I still use them to this day. Yeah, so it's amazing.
For the record, I remember the day that you arrived on the doorstep and I opened up the door and I went, "Oh, you're the image of your mother," because I knew your mother. And actually you're not, you're more like your dad. But I just, when I opened it, I said, "Oh, you're the image of your mother." And I think I had one of the twins on my hip. I said, come in." And I remember when you were just fantastic. She was there in work placement. And I remember going, I have to give this girl a job. I have to figure out how to run the company to give you a job. You were fantastic. And we had wonderful times together, working and pontificating and coming up with harebrained ideas. But anyhow, it stood to both of us, I think. So yeah, I always remember fondly our time together.
And well, I do put a lot of what you taught me and what I learned on the job throughout my journey, with To Market at the time, down to like I wouldn't have achieved what I was able to do in the early days of even Ella & Joe. Like I was able to take so many skill sets from what I learned, through Ella & Joe, and obviously through my other brand and business, Charlene Flanagan Makeup, when I was a makeup artist. It was all very much like learning along the way. So it's all stepping stones, and it's just incredible to see and watch your journey and how you've evolved, because you're an absolute rock star, and you deserve all the success. And I love watching what you're doing as well. It's amazing.
Thanks, Charlene. I remember the day Charlene arrived into me and she said to me she was going off to Galway to do a makeup course. And I was like, "Why are you doing that?" And then from there, you started off your own Facebook. It was only Facebook at the time, your own Facebook page. And I remember the first video that you did that went viral, and the two of us were sitting here watching. You were going, "How many thousand people have watched it in Australia?"
I know. I think at the time I had 5,000 followers on Facebook at the time. And that day, I think the reach of that video reached something like 25 or 30,000 people. And I think we were in Galway or something, were we? Or we were somewhere off site anyway. We weren't in the office. And like that, we were refreshing and we were watching, and we couldn't believe how far. I actually can't even remember what the video was, but
I think I remember because I had it on one of my slides for years when I was training. It was something to do with a makeup palette. And I remember what happened was you did it, and then the following morning you had loads of views, and they were views that were not obviously in Ireland because they were in a different time zone. And I also remember you getting grief of some of the
yeah,
makeup artists. They were like, why are you telling people how to use these things? Like,
yeah.
so
Yeah, and that's what I suppose built my platform, because I really felt when I started the journey, and just even for context, that was probably about 13 years ago, I would imagine. And there was a real gatekeeping in the makeup artist, industry. And if I reached out to a well-known makeup artist and asked her, what foundation would you recommend for those that have dry skin? It was like Radio Silence, Tumbleweed. And how I built the platform, because initially when I did the course, I hadn't actually intended on working in the industry. And I suppose Facebook was so interesting to me. I actually loved to educate people as opposed to actually physically doing their makeup. And that was what was commonly coming through. What concealer can I buy for dark circles? And like that, I felt like there was a real gatekeeping scenario that was going on. And I was like, absolutely not. I feel like there is a woman out there who is forgotten about. She's not the young ones. And, like she's not the older demographic with the Lancome and the Clarins and all the lovely bits. There's the woman there who's super busy, who can't book in for a makeup appointment because she's got young kids. And, if it's a decision between hair and makeup, she normally went for hair back in the day. And I, at the time, was like, look, how about I just teach and educate these women, on what to do. And because we're from a more rural part of Ireland, we don't have access to Brown Thomas department stores. It's come a long way since then. But at the time, you only had your pharmacy brands. And everybody else that was online on YouTube in America and the UK, and even sometimes Ireland and Dublin, it was all these really prestige brands, that we couldn't get access to. So I used to go around, to the local pharmacies on a very local basis, and I would find out what brands are there. It was like Rimmel and L'Oreal at the time. And I would buy those products and essentially learn kind of the ins and outs of them. And then I would put that on my platform, and I would teach people about, how to shade match, what eyeshadow palette to wear for certain eye colors to make them pop, lipstick finishes, all this kind of stuff. And that was kind of how I grew the business. And then on from there, my freelance journey started then, because on top of people saying, can I just bring my makeup bag to you? And can you just go through like what I can do? What brush do I use for this, etc., etc.? It then evolved into actually physically doing makeup on people. And I loved both. And I was really lucky that I was able to build a career for nearly 10 years off of that. So yeah, it's so interesting now when I love these opportunities where I actually get a chance to look back and reflect, because it's lovely to actually see, the journey and how it's come about.
I'm still like, even in my coaching academy, like my group coaching calls, I'm still teaching people about, position yourself as an expert. Sometimes it's the littlest piece of advice, the simplest thing that you think, oh, sure, everybody knows that your ideal customer will absolutely cling on to, and it will. And, the way it works is, and the same happened for you, is that, yeah, you can educate people, but at the end of the day, if they want to use somebody then to provide those services, they're more likely to come to the person that has educated them and helped them and that they know, like, and trust. So you did a great
Yeah.
job. Yeah, you did. And what you also did well, Charlene, was that you were consistent. Like, you didn't stop. And you continued
Mm-hmm.
and continued to build your brand. So fast forward. So tell us, for anyone who doesn't know the wonderful brand Ella and Joe, tell us about that story.
Yeah, so 6 years ago, myself and my co-founder, Neve Ryan, she is a skin therapist, owns a skin clinic in Ballina, County Mayo. Myself and herself decided to launch this brand with a one product business, and it was the Squeaky Clean brush cleanser. And I suppose the ethos behind the Squeaky Clean was that there's a connection between blemished skin, congested prone skin, and dirty makeup brushes, and that there's more bacteria on a dirty makeup brush than there is on a toilet seat. And people were consistently coming into Neve's Skin Clinic asking about blemishes and breakouts, buying all the creams and the facials and spending loads and loads of money. And then every day, essentially putting a dirty makeup brush back onto their skin again. And there was a gap in the market for a product that was really easy to use, that was fast. It wasn't standing over the sink with the soap and having to wait the long drying times, to wait for them to dry. So essentially, we went into business together 6 years ago to launch this product and Squeaky Clean Brush Cleanser. And what originally started out that was just going to be B2C, so direct to consumer business, where we were just going to sell on our website online, quickly evolved into Una O'Hagan from Maher's Pharmacy, one of the leading pharmacies in Ireland. I knew her through obviously my networking and my makeup artistry career. She rang me and was like, I don't know what this product is that you're launching, but she's a huge advocate and support of Irish brands, especially Irish female-owned brands. And she said, I want whatever it is. And we were like, we're not really planning to go into wholesale because like the minimum order quantities that we'd ordered at the time, we were like, oh God, like how many do you want, etc., etc. And we just took a risk on it and we were like, okay, fine, let's just see how this goes. And I suppose Una is the influencer's influencer. You know, she, like a lot of the pharmacies nationwide would look to what Maher's Pharmacy would take in. And I suppose then a ripple effect comes from it. And I suppose we quickly realized, and like, it's not to say that it was just like, look, like there was a lot of behind the scenes. Like obviously I had built a reputation of, you know, probably nearly 6 years at this stage, you know, like I had built a platform across Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat at the time. And I had built up this, you know, business essentially as a makeup artist, somebody that was a beauty expert that they could trust. So the business really took off and we were like, wow, you know, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. And then I suppose myself and Neve just naturally were educators, we're innovators. And we then started thinking about, right, okay, what could potentially the next line of product be? And for the first 4 years, we launched, we were really slow. You know, we were still working in our full-time jobs. And this was essentially a sideline. We were like, look, let's just see where this goes. And really enjoying it, really enjoying the startup phase and that creative piece. So then the next product after that ended up being one of our still top best-selling products, which is our 3-in-1 hyaluronic skin mist. It's called Botox in a bottle. Everybody absolutely loves it. And from there, we essentially planned then, we started realizing, yeah, absolutely, there is a demographic or a customer out there of women who have been forgotten about. You know, in the skincare industry, we felt that it had gone very clinical, very ingredients led. You know, women were overwhelmed with what they should be using, what they shouldn't be using. How many steps do I need to do? And on what days do I need to use that? So we were like, wow, you know, there's a woman there that number one is forgotten about in terms of the industry, but she also has forgotten about herself. She puts herself at the bottom of her to-do list because she's busy. She's got a family or people to take care of. And we were like, right, okay, let's try and see, can we bring together a brand that incorporates self-care into skincare, and let's make this process enjoyable. So we all know that we need to do our skincare in the morning and in the evening, but instead of it becoming like a have to do, it was more like a want to do, because it gives you like a moment of joy, like a moment to pause, like in your morning when you're putting on your serum or your SPF, that it's not stinky because it's a stinky SPF, you know, something really enjoyable that you know is going to set you up for the day. And likewise in the evening time, that ritual of that wind down, you know, just taking a pause. This might be the only moment that she gets for herself in a day. And that's where the first still best-selling product of the range came from, was Melt the Day Away Cleansing Balm. And it's like a spa in a jar. Everybody knows it, but that's our hero product. That's the icon of the range. And Melt the Day Away came
And it's
along.
fab.
And then since
I
then,
use it. I
and
love
it is
it.
fab. It is fab. Still
Fab.
love it to this day.
Mm.
And I suppose, yeah, the customer is always, always, always at the forefront. We could absolutely have launched a brand that has 4 different serums, 3 different day creams, you know, but we were like, absolutely not. That customer is, you know, who we're creating products for. It needs to be enjoyable. It needs to give her the results that she wants as well. And I think we've done a really, really good job. And it's just been an amazing journey to date. We've had incredible successes, especially in the last probably 2 years. We won Irish Brand of the Year last year, thanks to Image Media. That was actually our very first brand recognized award. We'd won product awards in Ireland, but we'd never actually won an Ella and Joe award. So that was like the creme de la creme for us. We were like, well, like that's just the best one that we could have ever gotten. And then just there 3 weeks ago, it's absolutely incredible to even think, just 18 months after launching into the UK, we won essentially the CEW Awards, is like the Oscars in the beauty industry. And it's the one that everybody is at. Like you're sitting alongside Charlotte Tilbury, LMS, you know, MAC, all the big players on a global stage. And we won the best new brand prestige in the UK. And like, it was just insane to think that, wow, oh my God, in such a short span of time, because when you start talking to I suppose, the big players, and you start talking to, like the consultants and whatever, they're like, oh, you're still a baby brand as such because we're only 6 years. And that's okay. We recognize that, but yeah, it's been incredible. I have to say, it's been really, really incredible, really enjoyable. And I'm really proud of us and what we've managed to do.
Well, congratulations on all of your achievements. And I can tell you to anyone listening in here, it's down to hard work. Because this
Yeah.
girl, that's one thing that always stood out for you, Charlene. Even when you were in college, you'd be like, no, I can take Friday. I'll take Fridays off and come and work for you. And we're like, are you not going to be out? No, this girl works and you have a great work ethic. I'd say half your problem is you work too hard. So
No,
to get some time for yourself. So well done. It's an amazing success. And it's a great
thank you.
Irish story, and it's a great rural Irish story, and it's a great story about women entrepreneurs as well. So it has so many angles. It's so good. So okay, let's just take it back for a minute now to social media. So social media is a huge part of your marketing strategy. So for anyone tuning in here who's looking to use social media for their own business, I'm going to ask you a few questions. First question is, what advice do you give? So now in 2024.
I would say go right back to basics. Know your why. What is your business why? Why are you doing this? Why have you offered these services? Why are you creating these products? And once you know the why, it's almost like the basis of everything that you do. And then, second from that, know who your target customer is. You can't be everything to everybody. Otherwise, you'll just end up spinning off and you're trying to talk to one customer demographic. You can absolutely have various customer profiles, but you need to know who is that bullseye target customer that you're looking to target. And then the basis of your content is built basically around that. Like, know the why, know who your customer is, and then just basically directly talk to them specifically. And I think a lot of brands, I definitely have noticed that over the years, we lose that sense sometimes because you get so into the business. You're working in the business so much. And as we said earlier, sometimes you forget that even the simplest little thing can actually be just that little gold mine in terms of reach or, getting that engagement that it is that you're looking for. So don't underestimate the power of the knowledge that you have, and really just go back and sit down to basics and really just say, okay, what is my why and who is my customer and how do I need to speak to them? And then the next thing I would say is to have a strategy. And I know some people are allergic to that word. It's like, oh, I don't have time. And it's either one or the other. You're either going to feel overwhelmed all of the time, or you're going to feel just a little bit overwhelmed for a short period of time. If you just sit down and honestly plan out a content calendar for yourself and try to create content that's almost evergreen, try to create that content that you can absolutely rehash out again, like once a quarter or, like twice a year or whatever, that you're not having to sit down and record every single week or every single day. Because that's when you start to become a little bit resentful and it becomes very overwhelming. And if you're somebody that has started out in a business, we all know we have to wear 40 different hats. We're the marketeer, we're the finance person, we're HR, we're the whole lot. And the marketing obviously needs a huge amount of attention because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to generate revenue to your brand. So having a strategy is amazing. And I know your book, and I'm going to give you an absolute shameless plug here and say your book is absolutely incredible because you've taken all the thinking and all of the hard work out of it for people. And that is the overwhelming part, because if you are a business owner and you're maybe operating with a small team, or maybe it is just you and you are wearing all the hats, like your background probably isn't in marketing. You just know that you have a really good service or a really good product, but maybe you're just not, you don't have a marketing background. So you don't know the first thing about recording content or how to talk or whatever. So yeah, that's definitely something I think strategy, maybe find a different word if you're allergic
I
to the
know.
word strategy. It's like, I don't know, find a word.
To-do list. A to-do list in a
Vomit.
certain structure.
But like, absolutely. And that was a big progress thing for me, actually, Louise, was when I would have done business coaching, that some words genuinely triggered me. Like some words genuinely made me go, oh, I hate routine. I don't like using words like that. So absolutely find a language or find something, that works for you, that's going to allow you to see it in a really positive manner, because then you're more likely to show up and you're more likely to actually do it. So definitely sitting down and planning some sort of a strategy, know your industry, know if there are any like key dates, what's coming up, in your industry. And then like that, when you want to, jump on ad hocly and you'll have loads of energy to be able to do it. Whereas if you get too stuck in the kind of day to day and happen to feel like you're uploading every day, it's not possible. It is absolutely not possible to be on it every single day. You will come in one day and a manufacturer has decided to ghost you and you're on top of that. And then before you know it, 3 weeks have gone by and you've got no content. So the more you can kind of forward plan, I would definitely say try as much as you can. And if you can't, try and see if you can reach out to a company or a business or a freelancer that might be able to help you, even for a small period of time, just to get you over a hurdle. If you have a busy period coming up, just try and reach out and ask for help, obviously, if it allows you to. That would be kind of in terms of like organic, if you've got a very minimal budget, and you're trying to just operate in the best possible way. Obviously, if you have got a little bit of budget there, or if you have got some room to maybe offer your product or services out there, there's amazing content creators out there that can actually create content for you. So we would call it UGC. Am I right in saying that? User generated content. So it can actually be really expensive to ask an influencer or a content creator to post on their pages, because essentially that's an advertising tool. However, you can actually ask them to create what's called UGC. So ask them just to record like a library or a bank of content for you that you then take and you post onto your page. It's actually a much cheaper way of using content creators and influencers to actually get content for your pages. That's something that's quite relatively new in the last probably like 12, maybe 6 to 12 months. But it's a tool that we've been using in Ella and Joe, and we found it to be really, really successful. And it really premiumizes your profiles, on TikTok or on Instagram. So just another alternative way. And like that, maybe if you don't have budget, maybe like that, content creators, especially the micro content creators and the micro influencers that are looking for that growth in an overly saturated market, invite them in or send them some products, obviously, if that allows you to, and build a relationship. I think there's too much coldness, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to send a box and hope for the best. No, build a relationship, build the network, and really build on that communication and build that community of people. People will always go above and beyond for you if they really feel like they're valued. So if you are starting out in a business, don't just cold call somebody out and be like, for the first time ever, and be like, hi, Charlene, I have this new product and I want to send it out to you. Maybe 1, 2 times out of 10, you might get lucky. Most of the time you'll send a product out and that'll be it. As I said earlier, ghosted, tumbleweed. Whereas if you start engaging with a person, really get to know them, which is obviously time consuming, but it's a nice, cheap, kind of budget friendly way to almost like build your profile and kind of build your content kind of around that. And then moving into obviously financials, like targeted ads have been hugely successful for our brand. Hugely, hugely successful. So absolutely, if you can do it yourself, by all means, I don't envy you if you do, because it's an absolute minefield. I'm not going to lie. But or go and learn how to do it. Obviously, if you can't afford, to outsource it, or if you can afford to do it, absolutely try to tick another thing off your list. It honestly, if you go to the right business or the right person that genuinely knows their craft, of targeted advertising, it will pay back tenfold. It may seem like a lot in terms of an investment in the beginning, but if you've got the right relationship and you've got the right back and forward, it absolutely pays dividends. It's absolutely amazing. They'd probably be like my top 5 off the top of my head, Louise. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything.
And you know what? You're just nearly following the framework that I would teach all the time in my coaching academy. Literally, step 1 is what's your why. Step 2 is who's your customer. Step 3 then is all about optimization. So getting clear on your message and being clear on that message and refining that message. And that message has to be persuasive and it has to speak to somebody in their own words. Because I always say there's 86,000 seconds in the day or something like that. We're awake for 57,000 seconds. We're on social media on average 13,000 seconds, but brands, we're in somebody's newsfeed for 2 seconds. So you got to be speaking their language. You got to get their attention, and you can't do it if you haven't got the first 3 things that you spoke about there. So I'm totally in agreement there. Content, hugely important, and paid ads as well. So Facebook and Instagram ads are still really, really good value for money. So shout out to our own business. We teach people how to do them. And TikTok ads are even better value for money at the moment.
That's a little gold mine at the minute. Yeah, because it's a very unsaturated market at the moment. So absolutely.
Before everybody goes there. And there's a question I wanted to ask you as well. In terms of social media, do you see any change around organic reach at the moment?
Probably, yeah. Like I'm not in the insights as much as probably what I used to be, but yeah, definitely. I do feel like though there's an element of maybe going back in time and going back to basics a little bit as well. I feel like social media lost its way for a long time, and it was becoming this very aesthetically pleasing platform, and then all of a sudden it went to this like algorithm, and everybody was going mad about the algorithm and whatever. But actually, in fact, I think bringing it right back to basics, people want to feel like they're valued and they're being spoken to. And that's a huge part of Ella and Joe is that we talk about our community a lot. And like that's exactly what we would call our customers, our followers. It's all one big community. And like that, you want to feel like you're part of something. So, like, we are bringing it very much back to basics again, you know? Yeah, absolutely. While we were in the growth phase and it was all new products, amazing things happening, we very much would always remind the marketing team and the girls on the team, no, 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 bring it right back to the customer again. Bring it right back. You know, when we sort of feel like sometimes we're trying to be, you know, everything to everybody and trying to maybe keep up with the bigger global players and things like that to form an aesthetically pleasing brand, which is important as well, you know, especially when we're still in that scaling growth phase. But bringing it back to basics, I feel like, you know, using the tools that Instagram have, like quizzes and questions and polls and which I'm talking in my industry now, like, you know, like which pair of earrings would go with my outfit, or like, you know, like asking simple questions, like yes or no answers, or red or blue answers, you know, really being quite specific, but being quite direct. I find people, as you said, they don't have a lot of time. However, if you capture them and you ask them to do something really simple, but if you ask somebody to go off and guess, you know, like, oh, like, you know, like guess something, or, you know, that they really have to think about it, forget about it. The engagement is going to be gone. So you do have to work a little bit harder, but I think let's just bring it back to basics a little bit. I think don't overcomplicate it. Just put a quiz up or put a poll up or put a question box up. And that can be the basis of content sometimes for 2 to 3 weeks, you know, and then people feel like they're really valued. So if you put a question box up and then you genuinely answer that question for people, I'm pretty sure, you know, when one person asks it, if one person asks it, there's more than likely, you know, a dozen more that is probably thinking it, but just won't come forward and ask it as well. So I do feel like in terms of organic reach, you just always have to be kind of like, okay, let's just reevaluate this now again. But like that, as I said, we just always bring it right back to basics again. And myself and Neve are very much at the forefront of our brand as well. And I know that's not
Mm.
the case for everybody. Not everybody feels confident enough to get in front of a camera. And I absolutely appreciate that. That's one thing as well in terms of, like, I suppose, growth on social media. Invest in a good camera and don't forget to wipe it every time you go to record something. Make sure that your content is like as nice as it possibly can be. You know, I'm sitting in front of a window here, best natural light, you know, like really nice aesthetic almost background, or blur it out, you know, if it's not great in the background or whatever. It doesn't have to be this big production. And like invest in cheap little things like tripods on Amazon. You can get them for like 15 quid, but they just make your life that little bit easier. But yeah, in terms of organic content, we still get great engagement. Like we've built a community, you know, and people just love to feel like they're part of it. So answering people when they comment underneath your posts, like don't just leave them dormant, you know, that somebody writes, you know, if there's a new product. And yes, absolutely, there might be on our page like 200, 300 comments to get through, but they're worth answering because then people will be more likely to, you know, answer something the next time when it's maybe not a new product, when it's something that you're looking for feedback on. So as much as you can, try to bring the customer in, you know, and show them maybe some behind the scenes, or like try to even feel like they're part of almost like your decision making processes, you know, whether or not you decide to go with what they've said or not. But as well for you, that's like gold marketing, you know, like you're getting your customers data and you're getting their information. So yeah, our organic platform, I have to say, thank goodness, is that it's still going really, really strong, and not on every post. I think as well, something to really, you know, say to people is don't get too caught up on the insights and on the numbers. Learn from it, absolutely. You know, if you're consistently not getting feedback or whatever, then absolutely maybe you do need to take a look at like what it is that you're doing and can you do things differently. But you know, you could post something one day and, you know, then you post something on another day, you know, at the same time, same place, everything looks and feels the same. And then you just don't get the engagement. Don't worry about it. If it is really, really good content, then maybe like archive it, take it down, or maybe repost it or something on another date or whatever. But don't get too hung up and don't sit into the negativity. You know, just be, okay, right, okay, that's grand, and just keep being consistent, keep showing up, because sometimes just at the point when you're about to kind of go, heck this, I'm no good at this, and you start berating yourself, it's actually usually kind of like the turning point, and something will just happen usually out of that. So yeah,
Yeah, I love all that.
well,
And actually, and I love the fact that you also said, like, yeah, the organic, but do invest in paid ads. And anyone listening here, if you're a small business, like, you got to spend money to make money. And I don't see your ad as a cost, it's an investment. So,
yeah.
if you can pay and you get somebody to buy something from you, then your goal is to get them to continue to buy from you. So you get a repeat customer. So I love the fact that you said that, because that's reality nowadays. If you want to reach more and more people, especially if you're starting out and you don't have a huge community. But no, I absolutely love that. And I love the final thing that you said there about, it's like a snowball. I always say it's like a snowball. It's not what you do once, it's not what you do, it's what you do continually, time and
Mhm.
time and time again. And I remember one day I was like, not so long ago, I was walking down the street and somebody came up to me and they were like, I just wanted to tell you I love your podcast. And I was like, oh. And it's those moments to go, okay, yeah, okay, this is good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it's work. It is work. It is hard work, but keep showing up, keep doing the work, and you
yeah.
too
Dig
could be
deep, dig
dig
deep.
deep, and you
Yeah.
you could be an
Mhm.
award-winning entrepreneur like Charlene. So Charlene, tell us last bits of advice. Where's it all going, and any last tidbits?
So look, it's global for Ella and Joe right now. So myself and Neve, we have hired in director roles. So we've hired in a managing director and as an e-commerce director just starting with us now this year as well. So that myself and Neve can really focus on the growth and the scaling of the brand.
Brilliant.
We're looking to basically try to copy and paste what we've done in Ireland, which is a huge success story. We've made amazing, amazing growth in the UK market in just a short 18 months. So we're looking to go further afield. We're looking to the US, we're looking to the UAE, we're looking to Australia. So we're really looking to take this now and just try to grow this. And like, I suppose what we're trying to do is allow women in the skincare industry to be seen and to be heard. There's a forgotten woman there somewhere who puts herself at the bottom of her to-do list. And we hope that Ella and Joe will just give her a moment of joy in her day. And yeah, just take basically what we've done and do that on a global scale. So I'm scared and excited for what's to come. It's nerve-wracking, because obviously it's like starting a new business all over again when you enter into a new market. But I'm so confident in the products that we have developed, and obviously through the awards and through the recognition and things like that we've done, I'm pretty sure, hopefully, that it's just going to go up from here, I'm hoping. But like, we wouldn't be who we are as well without our incredible team. Like, our team are absolutely amazing. But at the end of the day, myself and Neve are the engines of this brand, and we still to this day love coming into work because we have a gorgeous team. Don't get me wrong, there are absolutely hurdles, every day. We just take them in our stride. We're like, we're not brain surgeons here. Nobody's going to die. It's all good. So we have a really, really positive outlook on it all. I'm actually particularly really looking forward to actually slowing down a little bit for the summer. Summer is a time when we can kind of slow down a little bit, because come September, that's Christmas. Then it's Q4, it's ramping up again. So I'm really looking forward to some family time. And that's the lovely thing about working for yourself. Whilst you've got a lot of hurdles and that to cross, and there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to make, there's also a lot of good that comes with it as well. And flexibility and freedom and stuff like that is really important. And to both myself and Neve, and to anybody that's out there, just keep going. Surround yourself with like-minded people. So surround yourself with entrepreneurial people, positive, uplifting people. Reach out. There's absolutely networks of people out there that are more than happy to have a cup of coffee or have a Zoom call with you if you're feeling stuck, because it's a really lonely road sometimes when you are self-employed. So just reach out. Either, I'm sure, myself, Louise, do you know what I mean? Anybody, like, we're all here. We've all, started in the business. Just, if you are feeling a little bit of a slump right now, it's not forever. Go and find somebody that you know is going to lift your spirits and maybe might give you that one little piece of advice that might just rev you back up again, and just keep going, because honestly, what's on the other side is absolutely worth it, as long as you show up and just stay consistent and stay true to your values, to yourself.
And what I would say in terms of skincare brands, I don't think there's any brand out there that has the two brand ambassadors like you and Neve are for your brand. And I think that's a lot of what separates you from the other brands, is that you are the face of the brand, and
Mhm.
you're living the brand, and certainly it's not holding you back in any shape or form. So I wish
No.
you every success. I look forward to welcoming you back in a future episode to tell us about how you cracked the US and every other territory in the world. So congratulations, Charlene. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Louise, and I'm so proud of you too. So thank you so much for having me, and keep going with the podcast because I'm really inspired by it. You've had some incredible guests. Just you keep going with this too because it's really, really good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's it, everyone. That's another episode of the Social Media Takeaway. If you have some feedback, make sure that you tag us on social media. You'll find me under Sell on Social M, or on LinkedIn, you'll find me under Louise McDonnell. I'd love to hear your feedback and what you thought about the show. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. And if you know anyone who may be interested, be sure to share the show with them too. Thanks, everyone.